hello. Well, now that the car's on, now we gotta talk about 2019, if it was awful or not. Hello and good morning on this very cold but finally beautiful day here in Georgia. But today we're gonna be talking about all of the best cars I drove this year. 2019 was one of the best filming years I've ever had. I flew over 35 times to go travel and explore the world. And along with that, I drove cars I never thought I would ever get to drive. And by doing that, you guys get more car reviews, which it seems like you guys still like. And at the same time, I got to tell you all about it. So basically this is a top 10, but not in super particular order, but we can just dig in and have a nice recap of what we filmed this year. So I'll get right to the point instead of rambling on. Let's start. All right, first one was a neat one. The first one was driving Ed Bollion's Cannonball Run car, which actually just had its record broken in the Cannonball Run by a good friend of mine. But at the time, Ed Bollion still held the record. So in a way, I was driving the most illegal car ever. And that's why I titled it that. All the equipment, all the gadgets, all the planning, the fuel cell. It was really neat to interview Ed in his car that did New York to LA in 28 hours. It was pretty fascinating. And also just to hear the passion behind doing the Cannonball Run. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. So it was a really neat opportunity because I always heard rumors about what had happened in 2013 and heard the rumors of that Ed Bollion broke the record, this guy from Atlanta. And ever since I moved to Atlanta, I've been lucky to call myself a friend of Ed Bollion, so it's pretty cool. We got this J.J. Abrams lens flare going on. I gotta drive somewhere else. Next, one of my favorites was when I went to Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rico documentary I did is by far one of, if not the most proud video I am of this year. I'm so satisfied with how the Puerto Rico videos turned out. But one of them, when it came to driving cars though, was when I didn't even drive. It was a Toyota Corolla with a Toyota Tacoma swap with a big turbo on it. And it made like 450 horsepower. Now, the owner of the car, Yvonne, didn't speak English very well, so I brought my girlfriend, who's originally from Puerto Rico, with me. And so we did this United Nations style translation. So she was sitting in the back seat. I would ask the question about the car and about the build. Alejandro would translate it and then would bounce back to her. Now, this was risky in my opinion. I didn't know if people would sit through that. I didn't know if mainland American viewers in particular would sit through the translation, but I really thought that it could be an interesting take on reviewing a car because honestly, it just shows that no matter where you're from, the car culture stuff, it's very unifiable, you know? And there were so many times when I was in Puerto Rico where if there was a language barrier, you still know what we were trying to say about each other's car. It was really neat. Not to mention that car was pretty fast, but also San Juan's traffic is so atrocious that I think we only got like 2 accelerations the entire time. But just the experience of being in the car and doing the translations, that was really, really fun for me. Next is the new Supra. The new Supra has been extremely controversial, and honestly, I can see why. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I wasn't a hater of this car before I drove it. I definitely gave it a lot of crap. It just seemed like a rebadged C4 like everybody was accusing it of, and that's what it was. However, I went up to West Virginia and I got to drive the car fairly early in the year. It was pretty neat. Now, the new Supra on the street, in my opinion, that's where it really shines. On the track, it's fine, but I know this is a really weird complaint, but when you roll the windows down, that helicopter effect, that baffling effect it's too much. It's just too much to handle. It's just something about the shape of the windows that makes it miserable to drive with the windows down. And another thing about it is all the information they kept from the public. Sorry, I had to turn my defroster on. That's why it's like going haywire. Hold on. And another thing too is all the information I learned that really wasn't told to the public while I was up there really made me open my eyes and go, wow, I wish you guys told everybody this because more people would be a little bit more accepting of the car. For example, Toyota tore down the BMW motor and found everything they didn't like about it and fixed it. And I learned that if Toyota had made the car all by themselves, the sticker price would have been $150,000. Is it better to have no new Supra period if it's not all Toyota, or have a really, really fast car with BMW's name attached to it. I want to hear your guys' opinion in the comment section below, especially now that people are making those cars much faster. I drove Adam LZs just around the block, just flooring it. It was pretty insane. Next is the Hybrid Racing Type R. The Hybrid Racing Type R had a little bit bigger turbo on it. It was pretty cool. I never driven one with anything but a stock turbo and stock exhaust and all that good stuff. And oh my God, construction of freaking low cars, nightmare. But the Hybrid Racing Type R with its upgraded turbo, it made around 400 wheel horsepower, and it showed. And it was very easy to control. It's the most controllable front wheel drive car you'll ever drive. Never scares you, it doesn't have ridiculous torque steer, none of that stuff. It's a really solid package and I really enjoy driving it. But all in all, Hybrid Racing, one of my favorite brands I've ever worked with. Super great guys. Highly recommend going to their website if you have a Honda. Next is the brand new Police Interceptor. This was an opportunity I could not believe I got the email for. And honestly, a part of me was a little worried that nobody would care. You know, it's just one of those things where you roll the dice to see if people enjoy the video or not, especially since I wasn't allowed to drive it on the street. It was pretty much an autocross course, and I was like, I don't know, maybe this is kind of lame for my viewers anyway. Great experience for me. All right. Don't you hate when you're at a four-way stop and you're like, go, and they don't go? That's what just happened. The Police Interceptor was just a really cool experience because, one, as a civilian, I got to drive a police car in general. That's pretty neat. And I got to drive all three versions. I will say, though, the EcoBoost one shines above the other two like nobody's business. And the EcoBoost is just so much faster than the other ones. I would not want to be chased by the EcoBoost Police Interceptor. No thanks. Also, really neat things about the car. It had anti-stab plates in the back of the seats and stuff like that. Also, that it has a column shifter because of the policeman's muscle memory, and the fact that it had belts on the hinges of the doors to where if the cop swung the entire door open quickly, it wouldn't damage the hinge. I thought that was just a really clever idea. But all in all, talking to the policemen there, seeing what they thought about the car, it was all really neat stuff. Next are the two EG hatches I drove this year. I absolutely love driving boosted Honda EG hatches because they're so light and they're just silly cars. They just spin like crazy and then you finally hook and then you just get yanked forward. It's such a fun experience. However, the two I drove this year could not have been more different. One was a turbo GSR, fully built, kind of homegrown grassroots build. It was so neat, and it made pretty much 500 horsepower. And I had not laughed any more than that car this year. It was so ridiculous. I could not stop accelerating. It was such a fun time to just keep going into boost. But it just shows why the EG hatches have stood the test of time. People still love those cars because of how fun they are to drive. Not only that, I also drove the cleanest EG hatch I've ever driven in my entire life. It was a supercharged K-Series car, and it had such an incredible story, and I loved driving it around. It was such a different power band though. Was the turbo one faster with the GSR motor? Yeah, but the supercharged one was very balanced and you could just get on it all the time and pretty much never spun. It was pretty impressive. Next is the Terminator swapped Fox body. During my trip to VMP Performance this year, early in January and February, I did a VMP supercharger on Smurf, my blue Mustang, which yes, I still have. So he brings out this black Fox body, and it has the Terminator Cobra interior in it too. Driving this car, the sound was just absolutely amazing. No, straight! If that doesn't make you smile, go see a therapist. And you can't go wrong with the sound of a Terminator Cobra's engine. And it also had a VMP Gen 3 supercharger on it, so the thing was a rocket. Made over 700 wheel horsepower, and it was straight up a race car. You know, it had a cage in it, had racing seats in it, but then that interior inside, that really threw you for a loop when it came to that dash. So, Terminator Cobra Fox body, that was a pretty crazy ride, for sure. It was also the same day I did 5 car reviews in one day, which is my record, which I'm probably going to beat in January fairly soon. Car reviews typically take 3 to 4 hours to shoot, and that's if nothing goes wrong and nothing breaks, but usually it takes longer than that. But I just was feeling it that day. Everything was going perfect. Next is what I consider to be one of the best filming days of my entire life. Next is driving my buddy Sean's 1400 wheel horsepower GTR. I'll start with that one because I shot 2 cars that day. I'm gonna be real with you though, GTRs just didn't faze me anymore. The only time it did faze me was when I drove it the first time, all the way back on my birthday in 2014. Of course, the GTR is an amazing car. Technologically speaking, it's pretty wild. The Nismo as well is super underrated. The Nismo GTR is a ton of fun to drive in my opinion. None of them ever scared me. And I don't know if scared's the right word, but let's just say make me pucker up a little bit. And Sean was like, you'll never think of GTRs the same way after driving this Boost Logic one. Everybody knows a built GTR's fast. That's a given. When I got in the car, I wasn't nervous at all because it had the right tires on it. It had beadlocks all the way around. So I wasn't really that worried about traction, but you still had to be aware. You still needed to be careful. I had driven 1,000 horsepower before. I've even driven 1,200 horsepower before. But think about this, putting a Mustang GT on top of 1,000 horsepower. No, I never experienced that before. I get on it and my foot comes off the floorboard. My left foot comes off the floorboard. Just enough while we're accelerating. And my temples get pulled back and I am just absolutely mind blown what I just experienced. It literally exhausts you. Like, it's so fast and your focus is at such high adrenaline levels that after you do a pull, it's like you went to a therapy session and then drove an 8-hour road trip all at once. You're like, ah. It's the fastest car I've ever driven, period. Honestly, an experience I'll never forget. But then after that beating of a review, first world problem, I went and drove a Dallas Performance twin turbo Performante. That was actually really easy to drive. I was very impressed. It made over 1,000 wheel. It wasn't as fast as a GTR, but it was still incredible. And the sound that a twin turbo Lambo makes in person, I can never describe on camera. Some cars make really incredible sounds, but then when you get on it, you're really underwhelmed with the acceleration. Not a twin turbo Lamborghini, as you'd expect. But Dallas Performance does pretty amazing work, and I'm privileged to be friends with them. Definitely compares to the day I did the Porsche 918 and the Aventador and the Huracan in the same weekend. That was ridiculous, and that was in 2015. The Toyota MR2. Now, before you go, the MR2, because of the premise behind it, it was not K-swapped, which, by the way, if you're in the Atlanta area and you got a K-swap MR2, sign me up. This car had the stock turbo motor in it, fully built, and it made 750 wheel horsepower. And this car, dead hooked. And the way I can describe the motor is that fully built, it felt a lot like a 4G63 in an Evo. Now imagine a mid-engine rear-wheel drive, lighter than 3,000 pound Evo. That's basically what it felt like. It was one of those cars that I didn't really want to give back. I had such a good time in it. On that note, what was your favorite car that I reviewed this year? Put it down in the comment section below, and also make your own top 10 list of all the reviews I did. So make your top 10 list in the comment section below of every car that I reviewed, and get ready for January because there's gonna be a ton of reviews being filmed. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I upload every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day.